Well, hello and welcome. So now in this video, we will be looking into more stuff related to Admin.js. So we'll be looking at, how to configure your resources, how to configure actions. We'll look at each and every stuff on our thing. Anyways, so I am gonna do nodemon this index.js. Okay, and I'm gonna do tscw, which will essentially start in, yeah. And I don't think I need the third one, but let me just keep it just in case if I need it for any reason at all. So let's go to resources. So resource is essentially something that you can edit, that you can manage. So if you look at this part, this is called a resource. Okay, it's a model or a table that is called a resource. It's very easy to understand. So on resource, we can add CRUD actions like create, read, update, delete. It's pretty obvious in that way. Okay, so now what we can do is that we can pass in on the resource itself, we can pass in custom options. Okay, so what we'll do is that we will essentially change this up and write it in this way. Okay, so when you look at this resource options, we can pass in resource. So we can add resource over here and category, and we can pass in options. So there are many options that we can play with. You can click on this, you can create on resource options. You can see different options. We can see show properties, edit properties, filter properties, navigation, parent, sort, properties, actions. We can show, delete, bulk delete, new, search, etc., and so on and so forth. Okay, so let me just show a quick example that's on the database. So that's on the documentation. So if you see options, so let me just play with options. So what we can do is that, let's just see if we write id is equals to profile. Let's see what happens. So if I press save and go to this place, let's see what happens. There you go. So the resource name has been changed. So this is how it will look like. But if you see, it's kind of erroring out. No, it's not erroring out. So it will just change the name of this table. So if you want a different name, then you can add different names to it. So not only that, you can add more options to this. Let me close the demo page. Okay, you can add more options to this. Like you can add, in which thing this database should show up. Okay. You can add more stuff, like you can set if any of the properties are visible or not. So if you see, it will have a thing called properties. Okay, I hope the spelling is correct. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, okay, cool. So if you see properties, and I can just play with the properties. So if whatever the properties are nothing but each and every document in this. So if you see, I have title. So what I can do is that in the title itself, I can essentially pass in some stuff like, if it is visible or not. So let me just do is visible. So I can do is visible. So I can just add some stuff over here like list true, edit true. If I make it edit false, let's see what happens. So if I do this, let me just edit. So if you can see, whenever I'm pressing edit, it's not able to, it's essentially not giving me the title. But if I change this thing to edit true, then it is, yeah, it should, yeah. So if you see, it's allowing me to edit. So that's one of the option in Admin.js. Anyways, so setting list of visible properties. So we can set, yeah, so what we can do is that we can list, just if you want, what should be seen, like what should be filtered, what are the properties that needs to be edited. If you want to put everything in one place, then we can just do, instead of going to each and every like if there are like thousands of them, you can add like created add. Instead of that, you can just remove this. You can add list properties. Yeah, it's like one place for everything. List properties : title. So it will list, and there are more options. So edit properties, title, show properties, and we can add more properties that you want. Just add more fields over here. Okay, so this will essentially help you in that way. Okay, so now coming to the most important part, which is custom actions. So what do you want to do if someone will press this action? Okay, so there are many things that you can do with this. So you can just copy this, paste this thing. So href. So I am gonna press href over here. So here I'll just copy paste this part. Essentially I'll just copy paste this whole href. Okay, so that it will just be helpful for me. So if you see href, let me just console log this part, console log h and console log resource. Okay, now let's go to this place, and now let me reload, and let me click on let's press save, go to dashboard. Yeah, let me just not make it very small. Okay, something messed up. Okay, so let me just do this part again. I think it will just, if I just mess up with the href, it will not work. Okay, so there you go. So let me just console log this part. Okay, console log h and resource to show you what's actually happening behind the scenes. Okay, so let me just console log. Let's go to console. So if you see, yeah, there you go. I think this is the one, admin.js line number 39. Yeah, initialized. So if you see line number 20, it's 23 line. 23. Okay, let me just add some extra, this is my log. Okay, I'm gonna click on this. It should have logged something. I think my logs are missing somewhere over here. Anyways, if it's not showing, that's not a problem. Essentially what we can do is that let me just search my log. This is my log. Okay, so that means not showing up. Essentially it should show up, but never mind, it's not a problem. So what it's doing is that we are just taking the resource, which is essentially the category, and we are decorating it with the ID, and we are giving the action name list, and we want to add a params called filter.status with active. So like if you want to do like custom action, as soon as you click on this, you want to do something, then essentially you can just add that action over here. So anyways, for us it's not needed, so let me just remove it off. Okay, so let me just remove this whole href part. Okay, so let me just go back to the documentation. So when you're passing a resource link, it will navigate to resource list action, can be changed. This can be changed by configuring href option. Let's say we want users options to open an already filtered users. So like I said, if you want to automatically add an action, then we can do this. All right. So one more thing is that configure sorting. For this we can add the sort situation for this, like whenever, like what's the default state for this, like sort situation only. Okay, so the resource translations, so renaming a sidebar, we can just add labels over here. I mean it's just really up to us. This is like extra stuff that is not needed, and you can add more stuff, like there are like custom messages, like there are no records in this to display, or something like that. Okay, to see a list of all locales and predefined, you can just check with this part. So anyways, so you can add some features. Features are predefined piece of code which can help you import. They will just in like, you can, an example of feature is like admin.js passwords. So it will automatically encrypt your password. So it's like a password feature if you want. Anyways, let's move to the important part, which is their actions. So actions are responsible for both displaying proper views and as well as handling the logic behind them. So if you want to add like custom action, like resource actions, you want to do something when you click on something, then essentially this is the place that you need to do. Okay, so let's directly dive into an action. Okay, so um actually it will require a lot more effort to do this, but for now I am going to show an like easy thing over here. I actually am going to copy paste this whole thing. Let's see what happens. It will definitely not work, but let's try it out. So my custom action should show up. Reload, category new, uh, my custom action. Okay, you have to implement an action to you have to implement action component for action C. So we need to add a component over here. So I believe when I console log the context, it should essentially console log the context over here. In my opinion, it should. So click on custom action. Well, it does not. Okay, so essentially it should do that. I believe it will do that if we have a component. So let's add a component. Let's see how to add a component as well. Okay, so customizing actions, you can create a new custom action and using this code. If you see, it actually gave you an example. So this is like interface of action, like like behind the scene, like what's the code inside action uh, in the library itself, in the library's code. Okay, so let's add a custom component. Yeah, okay, let's create a component. Okay, so let's go over here, src custom. What's the name of the my hyphen custom hyphen action? So do my hyphen custom hyphen action dot tsx and just copy paste this. And after you do that, we will also you know do components dot my custom action. So writing, so we can do writing your own components. So I will do this, and we will create a file called component.ts. And this application file will be just like essentially a main file which will have everything that you need. And my custom action, I believe, is the name of the component, and my hyphen custom dot action dot tsx. Okay, and what we have to do is that we have to put this component in this place. Let me just go back. Okay, so all you have to do is over here, you just need to once you have done this part, I mean, you need to create this, or this is a component, you just need to do this and go back and essentially use the action component loader that you have created, which is this one. And all you need to do is use components. So let me just show you. Right, components over here, components dot my input. Let's see what it actually renders if I do this. So the problem that we were facing was, the only issue was that we did not add the component loader over here. I did not look at the documentation properly. I am really sorry about that. So what we need to do is that we need to add a component loader. So if you see the file that I have created, which is essentially component loader, so we are creating an instance of component loader, which is a class itself, I believe. Yeah, it's a class, and they're creating an instance of it, and then essentially we need to add the component loader and the resources, I mean after the resources inside when we are creating the admin.js. So we need to add all of the components over here that we are trying to essentially use. So the reason that it was not working is that, so if I remove all of this information and essentially return nothing, like hello or something like that, let's see what happens. And if I add custom action over here, it will say does not, because you're not authorized to use it. So we need to pass in this .json.current, and we need to pass in the information that we need. So now if I go to input.tsx and I'll just console log the props, return console log props. Yeah, there you go. So if you see the props that we are getting is, we are getting the action name is custom action, record, resource. This is where we are getting the exact resource from. We're getting properties, created at, title, and everything, and like all the information that we need to. And this is the record will have the information of the actual values, id. We will then record at params will have all of the actual information of the particular object. Okay, so after that we will essentially, we can add some like custom buttons over here, enable, like if you want to enable something, then we can enable. It's really up to us at this point of time. We can add custom buttons over here, we can do all sorts of stuff on that particular document. So we can click on this, you can see my custom action, you can go to this, and we can do all sorts of stuff on this. All right, so that's about custom actions. There are more stuff like let's go to actions. Okay, so there are more stuff like we can add a handler, sorry, we can add edit action, we can we can check who is actually allowed to edit, we can check who is allowed to access, we can check if created user id is admin, then only we can show up, we can show filter, we can do all sorts of stuff on this. And we also have like before and after queries, so we can add custom after and before, like when you edit, after editing, what happens. So we can add that logic as well. All right, so that's about it. And yeah, thank you so much, and I will be adding more stuff on properties. And yeah, I think that's it. See you guys in the next video. Till then, goodbye and take care.